We stand for the pledge. And in order.
Recording in progress.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we're going to start off with a meeting with our renters for water shutoff. There's none here, but we do have a letter that I'm going to ask Joe to. I don't know if you really need to read.
I can read it.
You can read the letter?
Yeah, no,
Thank
that's
you.
fine.
And that'll get us some background on what we're doing. Good.
Yeah, as long
This
as
is for one of our taxpayers that has some apartments, Mr. Tracy Adams.
Yeah, so Mr. Adams did stop in. He wasn't feeling well. He had his tie on. He was ready to go, but he did leave a letter for the board, and his letter says, members of the select board, I come to you this evening for help. I've been a landlord in Fairhaven for over 50 years. I try to give a warm, safe, and healthy place to live and work with Brock and the State Housing Authority to help the poor and or the homeless with housing. For the duration of time, I've been a landlord in Fairhaven with the exception of a few times when unusual things have happened. I've paid taxes and water and sewer in full and in timely manner, and those times when unusual things have happened, the bills are paid in full, usually by agreement with the town. I find myself in a position where I have not been allowed to make an agreement with the town. I've immediately contacted the town manager and was led to believe that certain adjustments could be made and then told that I would not be allowed to make an agreement, but must pay the bills in full. The bills in question, two of seven accounts, have had an extraordinary usage which cannot be explained by close examination with all fixtures in the two accounts. The extremely high bills have occurred when the buildings were barely occupied. I'm not asking for an abatement, but only to be allowed time to pay the bills with all interest over time, thereby being fair to other ratepayers of the town. The current policy would have shutoffs and foreclosures trump payment in full with interest. I do not understand. Whatever has caused the unexplained high bills, I still intend to pay my bills in full, but am unable to do so in full as it is now being required by the town manager and the policy. I ask the select board to understand the unprecedented high bills and lack of income. This lack of normal income has come from the state not paying contracted rents when due, and sometimes something I've never dealt with before, squatters. The squatters have caused 4 out of 9 units in one of my Bennington apartment buildings to close and 2 deaths. Please allow me to pay my bills with interest in full rather than shutoffs and forced evictions and the cost of foreclosure as well as the removal of badly needed housing. It makes no sense to adhere to a policy which causes such havoc and loss of income to the town if the policy is even correctly applied. An examination of my billings will show the unusual amounts which I have paid in full in the past, but I'm currently unable to do so even spending my Social Security income. Signed, Mr. Tracy Adams.
Okay. Do you have any other background information for us, like in our water and sewer policy? There's if you get behind, there's an agreement. Can you explain a little bit about that? And if that applies here?
There is. I'll start with Mr. Adams' invoices, his bills current. The Carnarvon Street is one of the buildings he's talking about. He owes $1,129.93 there. And the Washington Street, 6 Washington Street, there's $2,522.17 owed there. Mr. Adams has had agreements in the past and he has always fulfilled those agreements. Our policy, though, our water and sewer payment and delinquent payment policy limits agreements to only 1 per every 12 months. And that was to avoid having kind of the same folks come over and over again. You know, after 3 months or 4 months, they get another another payment agreement, and another payment agreement, and another payment agreement. That's why this was implemented back in 2018. And that's why Tracy came today, because he did come and ask, can you do something? And I said, no, the policy says I can't. The town manager doesn't have that authority to enter into another agreement. He has had unusual bills, because we do read the water meters every week. Especially at the Washington property, that one for some unexplained reason is just tearing through water. It's like the water's just left on or something.
Usually in that case, when you see like unusual water usage, doesn't the water department reach out to the owner and then have them potentially bring a plumber in to check things out? Do we know if that was done at all?
We did reach out, Tracy did say he had somebody go through all the apartments. What he found, apparently in his letter, he's saying there was nothing found, but if you just turn the water on and leave it run, that would definitely.
Could there be a leak from the main into the apartment somewhere potentially? No.
I just gotta go through that meter.
Yeah. And then how many times has he been delinquent on water and sewer? And how many times has he entered into an agreement in the last, we'll say, 5 years? Or well, as far back as you can go.
I didn't bring them all, but the first couple of years I was here, it seemed pretty regular. But lately, it's not been often. I haven't seen Tracy very often. And when he does go enter agreements, he does pay them. He's a man of his word.
Okay. Are there any other questions from board members for Joe?
He didn't supply any kind of written statement from the plumber who inspected?
He did not.
No? Okay.
Is this a policy that we have the authority to make decisions that go outside of the policy? Or do we have to make a decision on the policy?
It's a unique circumstance. The board can make a decision on the policy however it wants to. Yeah.
Is part of the policy, because the policy that says if he's had only one agreement, the select board does have, because I think you're trying to get at the question of, do we have the authority to allow another agreement?
So our policy says 1 every 12. The state law says that they can come and then talk to the select board and ask for relief.
The state law allows that they can, okay, well, I imagine state law supersedes our
It
policy.
would trump it, yeah.
It would trump it. So, it sounds like, Rich, any other questions from board members?
This,
But he's been really good at any agreement that he's entered into in the past. That's my understanding.
100%. And the state law, just to clarify that statement, it's not the state law says you get 1 or 2 or 3 agreements. It says if this happens, you go talk to the select board. If you need an agreement, you can talk to the select board.
Jonathan, you had your hand up like you wanted to say something.
Yes, whereas I don't know if this particular property has a smart reader, whatever you guys upgraded to, but I do remember Killington having big problems with their technology of upgrading. Who is and how are those meters calibrated? And do we even know if it is a landlord issue or if it is a town issue with the faulty equipment?
So I don't know about the ones in Fairhaven, but the ones in Portland, they come already calibrated. We literally hook them up, turn the water on, they start working, and then it's just a radio signal between that. So there's nothing like we do importantly to them besides hook them on to the water line, and then they start reading.
I understand that.
So I think even
I respect that, but what I'm saying is, if you happen to just pick it up from the back of the truck and it drops or whatever, or faulty programming, because we're now dealing with programming instead of actual analog programming, somebody was you know, you never buy anything on a Monday and you never buy anything off a Friday.
Okay, thank you for your comment. Do you have a recommendation, Joe? I look at you because you're the face. They usually get the bill, they come back in, they do the agreements.
Yeah, Eileen's the face, but I'll take that. She takes the brunt of these questions. I don't, so and I'll go back to when I first got here, there was a lot of these that came forward. It seemed like every time a bill came up, somebody would come in and say, I'm not paying that. And I don't want to get back there, but this case seems, it doesn't give me heartburn to let Tracy get into another agreement, because he has paid everything, and he's not looking for an abatement.
Yeah, okay.
Eileen can set something up where he can have his payments spaced out so we can get it paid before the next bill.
And this is one of the newer, all the meters, you know how we changed out all the old meters?
They've all been replaced.
They've all been replaced. So this is one of the newer meters, and there is in our water and sewer guidelines, we'll be talking about them more during the next 2 months. A property owner can ask to have it checked, but you gotta look, it's spelled out, if they do, they could be charged for that.
Yeah, because you gotta send them out.
There's a process to get there.
But
if you
also
think-
too,
if you
with
think you have
with
bad
meters in general, usually if they're faulty, they're not. It's gonna be in the owner's favor, not in the town's favor. So it's not gonna read. You know,
Right.
so,
$1,000
right,
worth
right,
of
right. It's
water
not
over.
right. It's gonna not read it at all, and they're gonna get essentially free water.
So, any other questions from board members? What's your pleasure?
So clearly we have a policy for a reason, right? And has there been similar people recently or currently that are asking for the same thing that have been in agreement before? That-
People have been very good.
But-
The only one that really gives me heartburn is the trailer park. They've been tough.
The question I'd have is, though, over the years, have we done more than one agreement with someone? It might even be, in your tenure, the last 7 years, have you done more than one agreement?
In the last 7 years, yes.
To answer the question, precedent has been set. It wouldn't be, if you allowed it, you wouldn't be setting precedent. We've already done multiple agreements.
How old is this policy?
This is the 2018 policy.
2018.
Okay, so we've seen it since then.
Yeah, we've seen it.
Mhm.
I
I
can't
think it was
remember.
a house, I think it was a house on Adams Street, as a matter of fact, that it happened on.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to make sure you had the right information, that yes, it's been exercised.
Yeah, I'm inclined to allow for multiple agreements under extenuating circumstances.
Do you want to put that in the form of a motion?
I'll make a motion.
That we
How
accept,
What did you say, Claire?
I think there was a motion made that we accept the letter, how do you want to word that?
Yeah. What are we actually doing? Creating a
So
payment
it's-
plan? I mean,
That-
I'll make a motion to allow Tracy Adams to enter into
Twice.
another agreement for water payment.
Do I have a second?
I'll actually second that, under this extreme circumstance. You know,
Any other discussion before I call the question?
just to say that I wish that we were making this not exemption, I guess, but this I wish that we had figured out what the cause of the issue was prior to making the vote. I hope that Mr. Adams does figure out what the source of the overage is, and that we don't find ourselves in this same situation in 3 months if the problem persists. But yeah, I feel inclined to.
well, I would hope that they would do that.
I also would ask, Joey, when you work out the agreement, that we make it clear to Mr. Adams, he should not assume this is going to be ruled in his favor if this were to happen again in the very in the next year. that this is probably the one exception, it's what I'm hearing around here.
I would be in agreement with that.
Okay. We know what we're doing. All those in favor?
Aye.
Sounds like it's unanimous there.
I'm opposed.
You're opposed?
Yep.
Oh, opposed?
Aye.
We have one opposed.
Any opposed?
Yes, we have. Okay, amendments to the agenda. Any amendments from the board?
No.
Good.
I'm good.
Approval of the minutes from April 15th.
I will make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from April 15th.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Lillian?
I know it's the board that makes the amendments, however, when I reviewed the minutes from the April 15th during the public participation, I believe it said that I was making a comment concerning the fine by OSHA in 2019. The correction to that would be that it's VOSHA, Vermont Occupational Safety Administration, and that the fine wasn't in 2019. The fine was, I believe, September 22nd, 2024, or 23 or 24, and that it was in 2019 that the asbestos results from Clay Associates was made known. So the fine, I want to say it was 23 or 24 in September.
Thank you. It sounds like VOSHA, because I don't want to get into minutia. VOSHA instead of OSHA.
I got it.
You got it. Okay, with the motion to accept the minutes with those changes, everyone's still good? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm abstaining since I wasn't here.
I'll abstain as well.
Yeah. Okay, department head reports.
I looked at
Joe, you're the
Tyler,
whole.
he said no.
Yeah, you're the whole show. I like that.
Let's see, so I didn't get anything from the police, so we're gonna roll past that.
Okay,
We'll start with some correspondence, excuse me. Stewart's has donated $200 to the town of Fairhaven for our Fairhaven Blooms event that happens on Saturday, May 3rd. If anybody's interested in coming down and helping clean up downtown and plant some flowers, all help as well, all volunteers and help are welcome. We got a letter from Green Mountain Power's lawyer that says they're still moving forward with the installation of the new substation over off of Airport Road, so that's still chugging along.
Is that gonna be on Airport Road on
on Airport Road.
on Airport Road?
Yeah. Just a quick update, I was off last week, so I don't have a ton for the board, but just to let everybody know that they started the project to put in the HVAC here in Town Hall. You'll see pads outside, cement pads were poured. That's where the condenser units are going. Public Works is out, you'll see them up on Scotch Hill. They're still prepping that road for hopefully paving this year and next year.
Scotch Hill.
Yeah, they have been patching the potholes, so if anybody sees something from Fairhaven, please let us know. We don't keep it a secret. Give me a call. We'll get up there and patch them up, or anywhere in town. We want to make sure the potholes are filled. For the light post out front, that light, the one that got damaged by the car, the post is in on May 15th, and that'll be installed almost right away. I don't have a date for it, but it's coming. I finished up the MERP reporting for this quarter. That's the funding that's going to pay for our HVAC. And I talked to, so this is pertinent to the next, to later in the agenda, but I did talk to Mike from Castleton about the reappraisal and their experience, Castleton's experience over there. And, you know, I just asked him, it's like, would you consider hiring these folks again? You know, based on what happened? He said, yeah. And he provided us with information, contracts, and suggestions how to better handle our reappraisal. So, with that, I really want to thank Castleton. They really helped me and Sharon out, kind of bringing us up to speed on reappraisals, and we didn't have to reinvent the wheel to get ours done. So we appreciate that. So there's a downtown water line project is still chugging along. I'm still waiting on legal documents from them, but we do have a pre-construction meeting coming up in the next 2 weeks. So more to come on that. And the Skyline reactivation, that's still going. The contractor was on site 2 weeks ago, and he's working away. We're supposed to have a meeting with the Vermont Senate down at Skyline on Monday, on the 5th. So we'll see if that happens. I haven't got confirmation yet, but that's
In Vermont, what?
the Senate. Mr. Weeks from the Senate.
A senator,
Senator,
a state senator.
yes. And that's all I have.
Questions for Joe?
I think we ought to acknowledge stewards with their gift of $200. That was very nice of them.
It's great when they're doing that. Good. If there's nothing else, we're gonna move on. That we just did department head reports and town manager report,
Yeah,
all in one. Hopefully you had a good vacation.
it was wonderful. I don't know.
Good. Okay, we're gonna go under old business, reappraisal bids, approving a contractor.
Yep. So this has been chugging along for a few months. Town of Fairhaven has been ordered by the state of Vermont to reappraise its properties. This isn't something that the select board decided to do or the town manager decided to do. The state actually sent down a letter and then followed up saying you got to do it. So that's where we're at now. We did send out a request for proposals. We received 3 bids. Those bids were from Nemrick, Tyler, and Sanssouci. The last one, I think I'm saying that right, Sanssouci, they weren't receptive. They didn't respond to the RFP. They didn't give me the information. But after reviewing it, I think we came to a consensus, the listers and I came to a consensus that Tyler, even after speaking with Castleton, would be a good choice for this project. So we're recommending Tyler for the Fairhaven reappraisal.
And we have enough money to cover this, no?
Yes. So their
$250,000.
Yep, their cost is $155,200. There is $255,700 in the account.
Yeah, a good question. Any other questions for Joe before we call a question?
We should prepay the next one.
Lock in that price, do some kind of lock in. Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we hire Tyler for $155,200 for to have the reappraisal done.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Hilary, we're here to talk about stormwater project easement, so I'll give you the floor.
So Hilary Soloman, Member Conservation District. I have a couple of updates since the last time I saw you all. At the time, we were being reviewed, the project was being reviewed by the Vermont Department of Historical Preservation. It cleared through that review, so they have said no further action. We weren't sure if we were gonna need to go with a site license or a site easement. It does look like, based on the price of the project, a site easement, and I have the document. And it's basically, I feel like it's a little bit of a much ado about nothing. So it's the template the state sent down. There's like a mandatory 2-page letter explaining what's like in the document. And then there's a couple pages talking about operations and maintenance, which would be annually cleaning out. There's gonna be a pre-treatment. Well, does anybody need an update on the project itself? Or do you all remember it from past meetings?
We're good.
Okay, so there'll be an annual clean out of the swirl separator. It's like a drop inlet, and then every year or two we'll peek into the little There's a place where you can look into the, our tanks, we'll peek in, make sure there's no standing water. We might use something like a fishing pole and poke down in there and make sure that it doesn't come out wet, kind of like a dipstick. And they don't think it should really need any major maintenance for at least 30 years. So there's this agreement that says that we'll call and give 48 hours notice, but that we wouldn't be prohibited from looking at the project or basically looking at the project. And that if there's any kind of issue, you would call and let us know so that we could help fix it. So it's sort of a big document. It's got the engineering plans attached and it has the deed language attached, but basically it's just a couple of pages to outline the operations and maintenance and say that we would call and give notice and that you wouldn't be like prohibited or stopped from accessing to look at the project. So, I don't know.
So am I correct in saying the easement, the way I read through that was, it's a 15-year easement and it automatically moves another 15 years and that's where the easement covers 30 years, is that
Exactly,
correct?
and every 15-year increment, there's a period where you can say, I don't want to do this anymore and get out of the easement. But I don't think you want to do that because right now the state's on the hook for maintenance of the project, so.
So what we're looking for is the board to sign, the select board?
I think it's just the lead this time.
Yeah, so
I
it
don't-
would
or
be
is
a
it-
member of whoever you guys designate from the town, and then somebody, it'll be Devin Neary will be the other signer from the Regional Planning Commission. So this is not actually an agreement with the state, it's an agreement with the Rutland Regional Planning Commission, and their role is the clean water service provider. So they're kind of representing the state.
So the motion, the reason I asked the question is how that motion needs to be worded by someone. I'm looking at you, Chad.
And the other piece is that the signatures have to be notarized, so it sounds like Devin from the Regional Planning Commission would come to town, so if there'd be some point where Glenn and Devin could be here on the same time, then the signatures could be notarized together.
So it's a motion to accept the easement and authorize myself to sign for the board. That's what it sounds like.
That is also what it sounds like to me.
Okay.
So moved.
So moved. Do we have a second?
I will second that.
And any questions or comments? We all know what we're doing. All those in favor? Aye. Good.
Can I chime in just real quick?
You can.
It's just in case anybody asks, I did send that to the lawyer. The lawyer reviewed it and said he has no concerns.
Good.
And we have, now that you guys have voted to approve, I feel like we're officially in the go, we can go now. So we do have a request for proposals. It's already written, so that'll go out tomorrow for contractors and for construction oversight. I can send copies of that to you if you want.
I would, yeah, just one time.
Okay, and then, as much as involved as you want to be, we can let you know who's bid on the project or any part of it that anybody wants to be involved in. You're all welcome to participate, so.
And refresh my memory, you were going to try to start that when?
Well, once we get the bids in, we'll get a sense from the contractors when they can start it, but I'm hoping to do that this summer.
This is the summer.
Yeah, we're still spending the FY23 grant funds, and it'll be really nice to get that grant piece wrapped up. So I would love to get some projects done this summer. So that's a little bit selfishly as a grant manager, but hopefully, in fact, we should talk about what would be a good schedule to make sure we're avoiding anything that should be avoided time-wise. Maybe Joe can just email that if there'd be an event or something, we should.
Well, right.
Yep.
Perfect. Any other questions? I feel like this is, exciting.
Good stuff. Looking forward to having it done.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the reason I asked about the timing, because with concerts in the park, and we have the lumberjack car show and everything. So trying to, just making sure we're
I do believe the car show is the third weekend of July.
every weekend. in
Right, so lumberjack show's more on this end of the park, and the car show are really the only things I can think of there.
Lumberjack show is the first week of July.
Right.
So it sounds like July might not be the best month.
Not to really start.
Okay. What about August?
concerts in the park and in the middle of August.
Yeah, and ends,
Yeah, that might be.
Okay, because then we'll have to, whoever the contractor is, we'll probably have to get the contractor together with Joe. Between the two of them, they'll figure out the gap, you know, where they would have overlapping
right,
time.
good.
Do you want this then for the signatures? The only thing I didn't like is that the plan's printed sideways, so I could reprint those facing the other direction.
Terrific. Thank you for coming in. Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and go ahead there, Roseanne.
Quick question. Now, when they're, because this is happening right here in the little side right here
Right.
across. We just put a whole bunch of paving along the side there. Is this going to wind up impacting our new paved parking?
Oh, yeah, the parking looks nice. I just turned around.
But no.
No. So the only part of the road, the Park Street right in front of the town office, they're trying to figure out, and I think, again, we'll probably coordinate with Joe on this. They can drive the storm drain pipe under the road. It's about the same price, it seems like, as putting it in, you know, opening the top of the road and digging a ditch and doing like one side at a time so traffic can still go through. So I think the thought was to figure out what those logistical differences would be, and then again, connect with the town to see if it's a similar price, do they have a preference? And they were worried that they thought it would be more accurate if they opened the top of it up in terms of laying a pipe that doesn't have much slope, that it would be very accurately done if it was open from the top. But they thought they could bore it underneath too. So again, that would be one piece where there would probably be a conversation with Joe about the different, you know, would you rather have a little scar in the pavement on the top of the road, but more guarantee of accurate flow, or go underneath thinking it's probably, you know, within what the engineers approved it as a method, so it's probably fine.
There's gonna be some repaving done in 27, right?
Not where, I think where they're talking is the,
Right in front of Carnarvon, like in that intersection.
right in front of Carnarvon, so it's whatever. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you.
We look forward to talking to you more as the project moves on.
Yeah, perfect, thank you.
Good. Okay, moving right along, appropriation policy.
So the board asked to review the appropriation policy, 2 or 3 meetings ago. At the last meeting, we invited our social service agencies to come in and give a little bit of testimony to the board, which they did. And now the board can make a decision, I guess.
And just one, because there were only 3 there were 2 were missing from there, we had pretty good participation. Just about every group came in.
I saw there's an email I think you forwarded in after that meeting or something, and I read that, and pretty much I don't know how the rest of the board felt with it. We weren't here, but I don't know what your take was from the rest of the organizations.
I thought it was very informative, and I learned a lot. And they are fighting an uphill battle, there's no question about it, with volunteers and whatnot. I'm good with leaving it as is. That's my opinion.
I think I was the only one that said leave it as is before, so I'm just saying, yeah, I'm good. I don't know.
Yeah, no, so I watched the recording and, I think the response was, I guess, resounding. So, yeah, that should keep it as is.
I am personally inclined to leave it as is, but I also want to make sure that we're listening to the desires of the voters, and it seems like we brought this up for discussion because there was some amount of sentiment that this should be examined for potential change. I never felt like I personally understood the extent of that sentiment amongst the voters. It seems like it came up at town meeting. Town meeting preceded my election to the board, so I was not personally present for any of that. I don't know that I feel it serves the voters to make a change to the policy from how it currently stands. But I certainly am sensitive to the fact that we want to maybe dig into it a little bit. And if we feel like we've done that adequately and we decided to leave it as is, I think that's where my
Well,
personal feelings would lie. But
if the voters don't like it, they can all vote no.
Right.
But a lot of them are for it, so.
What usually happens when we start to do something that we shouldn't, this room gets filled up and people are standing in the hall and it's, we had the room filled up and they were with all the representatives from from the nonprofits. Matter of fact, what came out in that meeting was the concern about, there's some safety concerns of getting signatures for some, but some was just staffing and being able to get and do the work and because still at the end of the day, the voters do have the ability. The big takeaway for me, one of the bigger ones to help our voters understand that, because if it's still out there, we can always revisit. They wanted, someone said something about National Night Out or whatever, and they'd all love to come back so that taxpayers, when they're out there, can actually get the answers to their questions and stuff. And I really hope we do something
That's a great idea.
to put some legs on that so that because I personally agree with you. Don't know if it's a large percentage that wanted it changed or a small percentage, but I think it was a good exercise for us to say, let's ask the question, let's look, let's bring people in, let's hear all sides. And
Exactly.
I feel pretty good where we are now, but I don't want to.
Yeah, no, in terms of hearing from voters who wanted to see some change to the policy, we didn't hear too many people. And so since we've brought it up and since we've brought folks in the last meeting to speak about it, more of what I'm hearing is keep it the same. And so those voices, although maybe slightly larger than the other voices, it's enough to say, let's keep it as is, and if more people want to see a change down the road, we'd revisit it.
We can always revisit, but. So, how do we put this, what do we, just go consensus? Can we have the record show because what's gonna happen, if I was one of those people that were in the crowd here, so what did you decide? It was type of thing. Would it be accurate if I'd say the consensus of the board is to continue as is for now?
That's correct.
And we will continue learning?
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Now, to be clear, leaving it as is means you don't require signatures.
We follow the current,
current
we're gonna
policy
follow
is-
the current policy. Well, to be real clear, the policy that we have now, we are gonna continue to follow, which is if you don't go up in your ask, if you go up, you need signatures. If you stay the same or go down, that's fine, you don't need signatures, that's the
But you
policy.
do not need signatures in this policy.
If you were to be a new person, just to make sure we're real clear, if a new organization came in, they'd have to go get signatures to get on the ballot. And there's also the policy, the current policy requires there's some reporting back to us to put in our annual report on just how the money we gave them was used. It was eye-opening when they showed that the money is returned more than 10 times in services than at what they get. It came out pretty clear they give a lot back. That's a long-winded answer. Did that get you? Okay. I'm going to move on to new business, financial policy update.
So this is a new policy for the town of Fairhaven, and it was recommended by the VCDP, the Community Development Board, who provides grant funding to us. It's a new policy, but it's just codifying things that we already do. If you read through it, it says we're going to use the generally accepted accounting principles, which we do, It says we're gonna audit ourselves every year with, from a third-party independent auditor, which we've always done. And it says we'll report to the select board. This says, monthly and annually, but the select board, you guys receive your, financial information every 2 weeks. So we're ahead of the curve there. So it's not any lift. This is just saying what we're already doing.
Which portion is updated? I'm sorry, did I misunderstand?
This is a brand new
This
thing.
is a whole new policy. It didn't exist before. We were doing the things, but this is formalizing it in a policy that, when our auditor, if I'm misspeaking, correct me, but when our paid auditor comes in and was auditing the books, he said, you really should, or someone said,
Yeah.
from our grants,
Yeah.
someone said, you really should have
This,
a
yeah.
policy that says what you're doing. We understand you're doing it, you're not doing anything wrong, but why don't you just formalize it? And that's what this policy is doing. So,
Is it worth noting that there may be a typo?
Yes.
Okay.
Where's the type?
Town of Fairhaven at the very end.
oh yeah, it's a N instead
Oh
of an
my
N.
gosh. Okay, I'll bring it back. I got it.
Okay.
I can't leave that.
Okay.
I'll bring it back if the board approves this, I'll bring it.
Good
Oh,
catch.
wait a minute. I need to have this sent over tomorrow.
Right.
I'm just gonna pencil it in. Sorry, guys.
Okay. I'll just take one more pass on it, if that's okay.
That's the French spelling.
Don't they make white out anymore?
I'll wait it out.
Used to live with the whiteout, put an N in there and go.
I'll have Eileen put it in the typewriter.
I had a typewriter with a built-in whiteout.
Make a
I still
motion.
have one of those, Claire. So I think mine's, I still have one of those.
You do?
I'll make a motion to accept the new policy for accounting, auditing, and financial reporting.
I'll second that. Looks good to me.
I'm waiting for Sam to finish his,
Thank you. Sorry to belabor this.
It's refreshing.
keep the comments unless you're recognized by the chair. We don't need any,
Saying that with the-
don't want any, keep the comments down unless you're recognized by the chair. Thank you.
Looks good to me.
Okay, do we know what we're doing? We have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
There you go. While we're signing that, I'm going to move on to coin drop raffle is what it says on the agenda. Joe, you want to explain what we got, how we stand, how many put in for the annual coin drops?
So every year, the town permits 4 opportunities for coin drops in town. This has to be only organizations that do, like public service or public good for our community get to do this. And this year we actually had 9 people, put their name, 9 organizations put their name in, but 1 organization dropped out. They said, you know what, we did enough fundraising, we don't want to take, they didn't want to be greedy, so they didn't want to take the space. So with so many in the kitty, it's a kind of a random draw. We just draw, what I do is, as they come in, I write the date that they came in, I write a number on it, and then that number corresponds to a number in the little choosy bucket. So you choose one, and then that number will correspond to the organization that gets a coin drop. So as the new number.
Uh-oh.
Oh, do you want me to do this?
No, you're fine. Go right ahead, you're
You need
doing
to
it.
draw 4.
Here's a,
You can each pick one.
Oh, I like that idea. Yeah, let's all pick one each.
Okay.
All right.
I was gonna say, no, Sam can be the bad guy.
the chair, yeah, and as the chair, I won't, and that'll be just perfect with the 4.
One for you.
And then we do check.
A lot more hands just
Come on,
increases the
fingers.
randomness, which is
Start
really
the
that's what
tunnel,
we want.
get a bit busy.
Got it?
And then we'll go back to the beginning and Joe will put a name with the number. What did you come up with?
I picked number 2.
Number 2 is the Castleton Community Center.
Okay, Castleton Community Center is one.
Number 7.
Number 7 is the Knights of Columbus.
Okay,
I picked number 8.
Number 8 was the Fairhaven Middle School. So coin drop, let me see, what are they doing with their money?
Did you say middle school?
Yes,
Mhm.
it's the middle school.
great school, good.
Yep, okay.
Probably.
And number 4.
Number 4 is Our Lady of $7.
Oh, good.
I will let everybody know.
Good. Next item under new business is liquor licenses.
Excuse me, Glenn, did you,
Oop.
there's public works building purchase bond discussion?
Oop, you're right. I jumped over that. Let me go back to that. Thank you.
Sorry.
Public Works Building, and it's a very important discussion. Wait till you're ready.
Okay, ready.
Public Works, B under new business is Public Works Building Purchase Bond Discussion. Joe, you wanna set that up for us a little bit?
Yeah.
See, it's the first time we're gonna be talking about this.
Yep, so this is the first discussion. If you've been in town long enough, you know where our Public Works garage is sitting, down near the river in the flood zone, in the floodway. It's not even the flood zone, it's the floodway. Which is a distinct difference. If you can't build down there, you can't really make much change to that space because it's a protected area by the state. That building, I looked it up one time about how old it is, but it seems like it's 200 years old based on its condition. It's in bad shape. We're lucky enough now to have been offered the opportunity to buy the armory on Airport Road for a very reasonable price of $1.3 million. The town was, I think it was a couple years ago, we were looking into building a town garage on some town land, like at the airport, like right next to the armory. And that price was up near $1 million with just the building and the concrete work. That didn't count, doing the dirt work and then all the fixtures, electrical, plumbing, heating. So this seems like an excellent, seems like a steal, honestly. So we're proposing to buy the armory for that $1.3 million.
And just to help us all out, what would that entail? Because of going out for a bond vote and information meetings and all that, can you give us a?
So this will be identical to what we did with the water main bond vote. The board will approve the paperwork. We'll post it for, I think it's a month, 3 weeks. You'll see it in the newspaper, same day for 3 weeks. We'll have an informational hearing where I will hand out some paperwork so you can actually have it in your hand to see what it's all about. And then that Tuesday, the Tuesday after our informational meeting, there'll be a vote. Tentatively vote scheduled for June 3rd, but we have to confirm that. But that's kind of our timeline right now.
Anyone else have something you want to add to the discussion?
Sure, so with this, because I know if we move forward with this, that addresses the garage, but we're still needing a salt shed. So have we potentially figured out what a salt shed would cost to put up and roll that all into one bond vote?
Yep. Nate, he's pulling numbers right now. His rough estimate is about 100. That's a round number, and that's with the concrete blocks and then trusses instead of the tarp, because the tarp seems a little chintzy.
So, 100,000 on
I'm 1.3, so you go 1.4.
Right, yeah, so, I mean, right, in the grand scheme of things, that's,
Another concern was just other, not just salt, but the other material down there, so we'll have gravel and sand. Getting some blocks and stack those up as a,
yeah.
you know, like a three-walled thing, like a
Yeah.
bin.
Yeah.
Because we're gonna have to have some of that on site.
Right, there's plenty, is there a lot of room up there to where we would never outgrow that space?
I can't imagine,
We were right next to our property on Airport Road.
Yeah.
If you needed to get bigger.
yeah, we've already got a tandem and a loader and the excavator and the grader. I mean, those are your big pieces of equipment, right? So I can't see
Right.
getting anything much bigger than that.
Right, and the nice thing potentially with this too is all your equipment will be parked inside, which will make it last longer.
The equipment will last a
You
lot
probably set up a
longer.
wash bay too with hot water and hose everything off inside too in the winter to help.
The equipment will be way better off inside. It's tough to get equipment started in the middle of winter sometimes when you need it in the middle of the night, when it's not undercover and in a warm facility. I think this is a great opportunity for Fairhaven myself.
Right, I mean, like you said, anybody that's been down to the town garage know that it about ready to cave in realistically any day now. You know, I mean, it's bad.
We've got our money's worth out of that building.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think about how long we've had this discussion, right? And we're constantly talking about if we kick things down the road, it costs the town more money. Can you remind me how much the bids were on the salt shed when we were trying to fight for grant monies?
It was over 600,000 just for a salt shed.
Just for a salt shed. And now we're looking at getting everything we had even ever dreamed of for 1.3, 1.4 million.
1.4.
I mean, when we were looking at building buildings, we were looking in the $3-4 million range by the end of the day.
I do have some supporting documents here if you wanted to look at them. Do you want to read these, Joe, or?
Yeah, I think I've seen it.
Because, again, I think what Rich and Joe's gonna be talking about is 1.4 million sounds like a lot of money, and it is, but if you bond that for 30 years and what we'd be getting here is an I don't believe you can, I don't know how you can get out of it any cheaper.
When you're talking about construction right now, 1.4 million does not sound like that much money.
I mean, right, you
build
could build a
anything.
house for 1.4.
And it falls
Right, 'cause
into,
you're looking at a commercial space for that, one that's been maintained.
and understanding that our DPW now is located in a floodplain, on the wetland, that Green Mountain Power is moving their substation out and going up the airport. We're fortunate that we haven't had to scurry and find a place for our DPW, but quite frankly.
This is the National Guard building, right?
It's the old National Guard building. Pretty, go ahead, John.
So we looked, this is back in 2022, we reached out to an engineer to give us kind of some rough numbers. He provided us with Chelsea Town Garage, their new construction. Back then, in 22, they're estimating $2.2 million for 8,000 square feet. That's just construction. I'll give you the total. So all total for the 8,000 square feet plus contingency was $3.1 million. So we get this for half the price.
If you, in trying to put the numbers together, and we need to put some talking points together, but on a 30-year bond, a payment that we're making on something like this is probably less than what we spend yearly just in maintenance for where we are and trying to bring things back and fix things. It's a huge chunk.
So if this does go through, what would we do with the current location?
I think the board has to make a decision. I know we're always looking for space, like the police are always looking for, right now they park their cars in the, what they call the bus barn, and they kind of jockey them in there because it's a, you know, it's not ideal for police cars. The police could park some cars in there. We could use it for other storage. Or we could sell the land to the state. They would turn it into kind of a no build zone.
If that salt pile and salt shed and everything was cleaned out of there, would that be permissible to use that as a police storage barn?
Oh, I don't see why we're currently using it for.
I know we are, but I mean, till such time the state says we gotta tear the barn down, right?
Yeah.
Right. The problem with getting too far along there is it's the location of where it is in the floodplain. And
Yes.
when I think if we ever get into a river corridor, coming up with some rules around that, we may find we are gonna be very limited to what you could do with that. I mean, you could probably do some kind of thing like West Rutland with their nature trails and stuff and on that line, but you'd be a little limited for if you thought you were gonna go right in and build there. I think it would be, or if that was the case, we were probably have built there long ago. But so what's next steps, Joe? Because the same, your timeline sounds pretty condensed. What do you need from the board here? Next step.
So if I could get a vote to move forward with the process, I'll have our bond counsel draft up the documents. To move it quicker, we may have to have a special meeting once we get those documents. So we wait 2 weeks, that's gonna push everything out a couple of weeks. So if that's okay with the board.
I think that would be fine with me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that'll expedite the process. 'Cause, you know, the state's looking to dump their land too, they're in a hurry, so.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Joe? I'll entertain a motion to move forward, or do you want to go consensus of the board?
I would take, well, that's a lot of money.
That's
I
a
would take a
ton.
motion.
Okay, do I have someone making a motion?
I'll make a motion to begin the process of organizing a bond to purchase the property owned by the Vermont National Guard.
I'll second that.
Discussion?
Yes, town listening meetings.
Right, the information meetings that you're required to have before bond?
Can we get the library in case we get a big turnout?
Actually, I was gonna have it upstairs.
Upstairs.
Oh, perfect. Sounds good.
I would like to have, if the board doesn't mind, something on site. You know, I asked the guy if it was possible, and he seemed agreeable to that. So
Right.
maybe just one.
At least one information meeting. I think if we hold one, if we could hold it on site
And
and
that would
have
be-
a
that would
tour,
give- that would
so
give
people could
folks
see
the
what
opportunity to
they're
see.
paying for.
Yes, I think that's a great idea.
We should, that would be my number one choice, and then if you can't, if for some reason or other they can't let us in,
We should be okay.
we should be able to pull that off. At least one information meeting should be on site.
And I don't know how you guys have done these in the past. Do you usually do like a PowerPoint along with these informational meetings?
I'll hand a little bit of paperwork out, we'll talk through it.
Okay, just I'd take some photos of where current building looks like, so people can kind of get an idea of why we're asking for this. So
In the spring of the year, when you
no
have to wear,
no
have to wear your
photoshopping
boots
pictures.
to go
I
in
want
into
the
the
I want
garage.
the ugliest pictures you can get.
Okay, so we have the motion. We have a second. All those in favor? Aye. Go for it. I think it's a unbelievable opportunity here. A long ways from the, Mike Barcelow is the town manager and starting when that first one in.
Is the National Guard giving that up because it's no longer a usable airport?
No, they're from what I've understand and from what I heard, recruiting numbers are down, and they're having to downsize and close a lot of places around the state.
It's just one of them, right?
Yeah, I think if I heard like they're down like 700 recruits this year alone. So numbers are, they're not doing so hot in the recruiting department. But I mean, being a veteran, all the information's out there now, so people are well aware of how vets are treated, and so a lot of people aren't joining.
All right, moving right along, liquor license, D.
I had one sitting in front of you. I had a piece of paper sitting. Single sheet.
Is that from, well, no, it's not that one.
It was just sitting on the desk. Yeah, it doesn't highlighted on it.
That's it.
That's your guy.
That's what we're looking for?
I take it you're gonna make a motion, Sam.
I'm gonna make a motion to approve a first-class restaurant bar license, a third-class restaurant bar license, and an outside consumption permit for the Yeremias Family Enterprise Limited, doing business as the Fairhaven Inn.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. And I'm also going to make a motion to approve a tobacco substitute endorsement for the SW Walk Corporation, doing business as Liberty Street Market.
I'll second that.
Second by Mike. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
That's all of them.
Can I have that sheet?
Absolutely.
I'll get it back to you if you want.
Okay, we're now on item 9 on the agenda. We're doing pretty good time-wise. 2 minutes for public comment. Mr. Billwitz?
I've got 3 things in 2 minutes, so let's make this quick. All right. First off, I understand Mr. Gunter was on vacation last week, but I've noticed some tardiness in accordance with the 72-hour posting of the written minutes. If you could get on your town employee about that, I'd appreciate that. Number 2, whereas we have a new board member, Mr. Lucci, has he been supplied with a copy of the VLCT handbook for selectmen? So that way he fully understands his legal responsibilities as a chairman, or as a board member.
May I speak during public comment? I have been provided with that handbook. I can't say that I know every word by heart at this point, but I can certainly have it as a reference.
I thank you for your response, Mr. Lucci. Have you, Mr. Chairman, has Mr. Lucci been supplied with the VLCT handbook for town manager to make sure that he understands the responsibilities of the town manager?
Don't know. Next, what, anything else?
Yes, and finally, the third thing, as you know, I am suing the town of Fairhaven. Last meeting, I tried to present a settlement offer. It didn't go so well. Here are my second set of interrogatories, which will be filed and mailed out tomorrow.
That's for your attorney to talk to our attorney. Thank you very much for your comment. Next, Lillian.
Lillian Billwitz, Fairhaven. Very briefly, I did find, for clarification, the date of the voucher fine actually was September 22nd, 2023. And it was issued by VOSHA, signed by Daniel Whipple, manager.
Thank you
That's all, thank you.
for your comments.
Again, my name's Kevin Hoy. I was here several months ago, and I asked Mr. Gunther, excuse me, to look into Mr. Tom Cavino. He's been impersonating a police officer for over 2 decades, appointed by a 2-time convicted police officer. Rather than look into it, you guys gave him awards. Thought that was nice of you. But again, per the Vermont Criminal Justice Council, I provided you with his criminal record, his history, and then again, some of the restraining orders, all the other things. It appears to me that we've traced, again, falsified police certifications to your town, and now I put in a FOIA request, and Mr. Gunther turned that down.
You keep your,
I just wanna
if
give
you've
you
got something, no, keep it.
These
We
are-
don't take copies.
For you personally.
We don't
you're being
take copies.
served, Sir, all of it, I'll give the new guy one too.
Okay.
So what this is, again,
Wrap
don't
it
interrupt me. I
up.
need
No,
2
you
minutes,
can, your
please,
2
for the
minutes are almost up,
Constitution.
so wrap it up.
Okay, well, again, I've given you the opportunity and you failed, so now the frivolous excuse, it doesn't work. It wants me to say
You will
317
address
does
me
not
as the
apply.
chair.
Mr. Chairman.
You can sit
So what
down.
I'm doing now is I'm giving you 2 days per the law to answer my FOIA request. I'm not asking for special information. I'm asking for, again, you claim to have done a certification for Tom Covino.
Your 2 minutes are up. Thank you for your comment.
Okay, you've been served.
Thank you for your comment.
Thank you, sir. We need to know who did that. This is your simple question.
You're done.
We need to know who
Thank
did
you.
the NCIC
Thank you for your comments. You need to be,
Mr. Gunther?
we're moving on to parking lot.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate your time. Again, the people, you guys
Hey.
are liable for this. I just
You're-
want to make that notified. 2 minutes is.
You're
enough time.
you're
Should we take a break?
disrupting our meeting. We can take a recess and ask you to leave.
Okay, well, again, I want to
go.
put you on.
Let's take a short recess, and officer, if you would.
Thank you. No,
Recording in progress.
Okay, we're at item number 10, parking lot. Anything in the parking lot? Oh, wait a minute, I got one more. I keep moving this along here. You have a comment, go ahead. We're in the 2 minutes for public comment. We didn't finish up.
Sorry, Rose, you can't speak.
Okay, so, I had a question regarding the reappraisals. Did Castleton give any kind of indication, I have a couple questions. Did they give any kind of indication, how much their appraisals have gone up? Their reappraisals have gone up?
I think they said it was 60% were gonna go up. But don't-
They were, but I wouldn't
don't-
use anything. They haven't come out.
Okay,
And the swag numbers, I'd be very careful about making.
okay, and,
Rose, if I had to guess, you'll see the thirds, like third will go up, third will go down, and third will stay about the same. That's typically, you know,
that's
the
usually
standard
what it
of
is.
how things work.
okay. And did the state mention when we had, I know we were accepting their bid, but so when is, because I know they've got, they're booked ahead of time.
Yeah.
When are our appraisals, when do you expect our appraisals to be going through?
It said completion in 2027.
Yeah,
Okay,
2027,
so
then
they'll
before,
probably be starting it next year.
Correct.
Okay. And you can probably take the DPW garage and salt shed off of the parking.
well, I like not taking them off until they're done. It's not done until the final paperwork's done. But thank you.
And one last thing, do I still have time?
You do, go ahead.
I completely have the ultimate faith in our police department and in our police chief. And people who do not even live in our town should not be making comments about our police department. They can take it and shove it.
Thank you for your comment. Moving on, parking lot. Anything, anyone on the board wants to talk about in the parking lot?
Any update on downtown designation? Actually, let me rephrase that. Any update on, are we still on track for village redesignation so that we can move forward with downtown designation later?
I thought Bob was supposed to be here tonight.
No,
He was supposed to come last meeting and he didn't, he was busy.
right. But the question is, because I think I get where you're concerned, did we get our village redesignation?
We haven't. It expires in
June?
June.
But that's just some paperwork signing up. And that's me dropping the ball. Thank you for reminding me.
I figured until we have that, I'll just remind every
Yeah.
meeting. I don't want to lose sight of downtown designation.
Yeah.
I know, you
And,
know.
and,
no one
and,
does.
and at our last meeting, we did, I think, agree to move forward on getting the downtown designation. That was the document that we signed. Yep. Good. Any other questions on parking lot?
I got one question for Joe. How's our transfer station coming along as far as the new swap shop and all that?
Good, I think
Where
we're
are
still
we
on
at?
target for May 1st, which is that Thursday or is that Friday?
Thursday.
Did you guys adopt the rules?
Okay, I dropped the ball on that one too. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
I wasn't sure if that happened at last.
They need,
No,
they need some rules.
Yeah, we do have draft rules, but I need to bring them to you guys to look over, so it won't be May 1st. I will put that on the next meeting. I know.
Swap shop specifically?
No more vacation for you, young man.
Right.
Vacation
Stay home
for
and
you,
work.
Joe.
Was it rules for the swap shop specifically?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, just like what not to leave kind of stuff.
Trash.
Yeah, like don't leave your TVs there or stuff like that, so.
Anything else under the parking lot? Board roundtable. Sam, do you have anything tonight?
I do not.
So I was at the transfer station Saturday, and I know it was raining, but I think the transfer station would benefit from some stone being brought in because it was a sloppy, muddy mess. So I think if we get some time to probably put stone down throughout the whole area, and then the road going into the transfer station would benefit probably from being graded too. That's
They just graded that a week and a half ago.
Did they? Okay.
Yep. It's
All
just
right.
it's that time of year,
Yep.
basically.
But inside the transfer station could benefit from some crushed slate being brought in and probably redoing the whole area inside.
Sandy soil turns right into mud.
I was like, wear my Crocs, you know, being lazy. Just got back from vacation myself a couple hours before that, and I'm walking through slop.
Boot season.
Yeah, still in vacation mode.
Good. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Rich?
I have nothing tonight.
Chad?
Yes. Yeah, and apologies if this was mentioned last time, but the rec committee has installed a concession stand down at the ball fields and playground. So that is very exciting. I don't know how many games I've watched and thought, gee, I could go for a soda and a hot dog right now, and it wasn't available. So great opportunity for the rec to continue to make some money for itself through their own fundraising efforts. They were able to bring that on board. It is a shed that can be moved whereabouts, and you know, in case there was ever any flooding, we can get it out of the way if we needed to. So I'm excited for that being in operation.
They could actually also take that elsewhere and make money with it too, couldn't they? In another field or whatever.
They could. It's not necessarily the most agile of sheds. This shed was previously owned by Third Place Pizza. It was on the outside of their.
Yeah, okay.
Brought that in.
And Joe, can we share that you've been looking at the containers and possibly, I thought that was good information that you shared.
Yep, so the young man that started his container business down on Prospect, he was letting us use a container for, I think it was free, for the last couple of years, but he's offered to give us a rent to own for 2 containers now, because we seem to run out of space for our rec stuff, so he's gonna give us 2, and I don't know if it's down there yet or not, but he's gonna bring one for us.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So moving, good, really good stuff happening.
I was down at the playground recently, in my walk. I like those signs that they have on the fence.
Mhm.
They're not gonna, the rain isn't gonna do any harm to them, the vinyl or something.
Oh yes. So they're putting any sponsor is getting their sign on the ball field fences. Another thing that is going to be happening is there was a donation of a significant amount of pavers, and so there's going to be a walkway installed from I think the softball field over to concession, and the plan long term is to get a walk-in loop around the fields. So this is the first step.
I also got a couple of Frisbee
Frisbee golf.
Frisbee golf?
The chains, the
I went
baskets.
to the Frisbee, but I only saw two of them where the Frisbee golf, so it's a small course.
Good,
It's
things.
coming along great.
good stuff. Anything else, Chad?
That's it.
I have nothing, so we can now review the, oh,
I just had a quick question for Chad. How are our numbers for participation?
From what I understand, strong. I don't remember the specific numbers. I know that I think we're in the triple digits for like t-ball and softball at the ages that we do. Our older baseball players are affiliated with the Rutland County Little League still, and we have actually multiple teams at the highest age group for Little League. So we've got a lot of kids wanting to play a lot of different sports. Driving down there, I always see people at the pickleball courts too, so that's nice to see.
Good.
let's move on to reviewing the financial reports.
I'll make a motion to approve the payroll, pay the payroll of $36,876.68.
I will second that motion.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye. Make a motion to pay the general warrant of $53,380.93.
I will second that motion.
All those in favor? Aye.
And the checking account stands at $1,052,121.28.
Must be a school payment coming up here soon.
Yeah.
Okay, do we have anything for an executive session?
No, sir, I had anticipated a contract for the armory, but that didn't come through.
Okay. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.